boy. Chapter 6. Exercise before exercise. That's what it's called. And I'm sure you're wondering, what does that mean exactly, Moonhorse? Don't ask that question. You don't want the answer. You really don't. This is not a very long chapter, but of course, it's Onision's writing, so anything can go from a chapter that is 4 paragraphs to a chapter that is 15 pages. So it really is difficult to nail down what he means by a chapter. I think it's basically just kind of a vague expression of however long he wants something to happen. So, I'm trying to figure out how I should even begin talking about this, because it's a thing. In his last book, I put 2 chapters together, because one chapter was so completely inconsequential that it didn't really mean anything, and I just stapled it to the front of the other one because that was about it. It was literally a chapter, quote-unquote, that was about a paragraph and a half, and then it just ended. And it was all about how he and his, female companion unit, Unit 745-C, basically how they had sex. Yeah, we're at that chapter again in this book, except it's a little longer, and he felt the need to tell us some shockingly stupid things that he's been doing. So, this is what this episode is about. We get to talk about Onision's sex life again. Oh, joy. Because that's really what I want to do with my time. I really hate that he makes these chapters. I really hate that this is a thing in a lot of fan fiction. And yes, I do consider his work fan fiction, even if it isn't written about another subject of a already existing IP. He writes as if it's fan fiction. His writing is fan fiction. I realize it may not seem that way, but trust me, if you've read it, it does. So, he basically had to explain that he hasn't written for a while because he didn't feel the need to update his journal. And these breaks in between these things, in between all these little entries and chapters, would make more sense if you dated them. But he doesn't. So I have no idea how long it's been since anything. All I know is a while, maybe a few weeks, sometimes a month, sometimes a bit of time. He's incredibly vague and doesn't date anything, and if you're going to keep a journal, there's a reason why you use the exact date. This is the fucking reason. You may have already noticed, dear listener, that I just went on a small tangent about dating a terrible book. And you're probably thinking to yourself, Moonhorse, why are you talking so much about the date? Because the actual meat of this chapter is horrible. And I'm trying to avoid it. But I'm realizing that that's not going to happen, so let's just go with it. So we get to hear about how they've apparently been sleeping together for a while. A few weeks, I assume. He goes on another nihilistic, self-indulgent rant about how he's just a carbon copy of pretty much every other human on this planet. The usual, everything's so miserable, I'm so edgy shtick. And then he has to talk about how they had their first time together. And for some reason, before they did it, she had to, go jogging. Because she was so excited. She had so much energy and was just so excited to sleep with the onion boy that she had to, run around the house a couple times. Not the block, the house. I'm serious. I know, that sounds so stupid that you would think that I made that up. No, it's actually written in here. That's a real thing. So, he goes back and forth between talking about something like that, which doesn't make any sense and is probably one of the dumber things I've ever read, and, how she's changing his core programming, making him feel things and be more human. Except that's not reflected in any of his actual work. Nothing that he's writing. he still sounds like the same narcissistic little piece of shit. So, yeah. Apparently, his dad left for some kind of church thing. She came over. And, of course, by dad left for some kind of church thing, we have to mention that he has to take a moment to shit on every religious person and talk about how they're so stupid and all this other stuff. Because that's totally what every normal atheist does. As an atheist myself, I spend all my time talking about how much I hate religion. You guys know that. You've been here for over 3 years at this point, and seen all my videos, and when I talk about that, fucking never, because that's stupid. So, yeah, I really hate that he keeps doing that, and acting like because he's an edgy atheist that makes him just like the coolest guy on the planet. Just a little side note, and I realize there's a couple of these because I am putting off certain things. From the rest of us in the normal, well-adjusted atheist community, yeah, we hate that guy too. So, whenever my friends who have faith talk about how they can't stand that fedora-tipping little motherfucker who talks about how much he's so much smarter than everybody else because he doesn't believe in God. Yeah, no, we can't stand him either. He is a prick. So, it's fine if you want to call him an asshole. Totally fine. Back to this story, though. He keeps saying that they're gonna go all the way multiple times, which is just the worst phrasing, but sure. And they're going to do stuff together. That's their phrasing on how he put it. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. So she has to go on her jog, and he talks about how stupid that is, because, like, why would you want to exhaust yourself before you exhaust yourself? Because, you know, sex with him is, like, exhausting. It's such an exhausting process. You know, it takes everything out of you. I want to remind you that neither one of them has, from the way he's described it, ever actually been physically intimate with another human being. So, one, that makes me uncomfortable. And two, they are high school students, which, that makes me even more uncomfortable. Thank you for putting me in this position, Greg. Thanks so fucking much for that. I will never forgive you for this. So yeah, they start doing it, and then halfway through, he's like, I don't like this condom, and she's like, oh, it's fine, don't need it. So yeah, he just advocates for, you know, unprotected sex between teenagers. Yep. That's the level we're at. Oh, and it's more intense since they're unprotected. Fuck off, Greg. He even openly admits that they know about the dangers of her getting pregnant because she's not on birth control or anything. I'm quoting there. And then he ends this with this wonderful little note. So I guess we are both prepared for the long haul. I don't really care. If she got pregnant, I'd be proud. You are a fucking high school student in this story, kid. That's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. And I would like to say that because of this, because of when this was written, that Onision grew up, realized that that was an incredibly stupid statement, and doesn't actually mean that. I'd like to say that, but he wrote this book as a grown man, so I'm willing to bet he still does believe that. More so because I believe he has 2 kids now, too. Yeah, I know, my soul hurts, too. So yeah, that's what he considers a good, physically intimate relationship for high schoolers who are like edgy little emo goth wannabe fucking annoying cardboard cutouts. Seriously, I feel like every bit of his wardrobe is probably now, or once was, part of the entire catalog or back catalog of things that were on sale at Hot Topic. He strikes me as that guy. You know which one I'm talking about. The one who's always, everything's so awful but can't explain why everything is so awful, and is basically just doing it because he wants to be edgy and wants people to be like, oh, you know, he's like scary, and nobody thinks you're scary, dude. Nobody fucking thinks you're scary. Which is the reason why you wrote a story about a bunch of cardboard cutouts who think everything you want them to think. There's no actual emotion or intelligence behind any of these actions. It's just you being a shithead, and yeah, they just do whatever the puppet master says. So this was an incredibly stupid chapter. This is an incredibly stupid book. And I can safely say, out of the one I read before that and this one, I dislike this one more. It may not be as nearly as long, but it hurts. It's not a fun ride. But with all that being said, thank you all for being here. I hope you're enjoying this. If you would please do the YouTube thing of like, comment, subscribe, whatever. I have a subreddit if you'd like to send me any stories. I check it every day, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.